proud sponsor this month on 4-1 Nosh is Dei Fratelli, a local company that specializes in tomato sauce that you've no doubt enjoyed in restaurants like Sebastiano's or in your dinners at home. My curious nature and how their food goes from farm to table led me to this old home in Northwood. The origins of Herzl canning dates back to 1923, when Carl and Lena Herzl came from Switzerland to Buffalo, New York to make it as brewers. But due to tough competition, the Herzls moved once more to live near Carl's brothers in Toledo. Noticing the great soil and climate in Northwest Ohio, Carl decided to start growing cabbage to make into sauerkraut, a process very similar to beer making. This led to tomatoes a year later.
He took tomatoes around and would usually leave a couple cans, a can of kraut and a can of tomatoes in a little box, and would leave it with the grocer, and he said, make sure that you give this to your wife. And that's usually how he got it started, because once they tasted it, they came back. I mean, she said, why are you carrying all this other stuff when this is the best quality?
Yeah.
Nice story.
After exploring the Herzl home and learning more about their rich history, I took a trip to Elmore to one of Dei Fratelli's local tomato suppliers, Rothard Farms, and got down to the roots of a Dei Fratelli tomato. Behind us here, we have your tomato harvester.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. This is our tomato harvester right behind me. The bottom of the tomato plant cuts it clean off, brings the entire plant into the machine. It actually is able to shake the tomatoes off the vine, throws the vine on the ground. All the tomatoes come through the machine, and it actually has a color sorter on it that sorts out all the green and orange colored tomatoes, so you're only getting the most red, perfectly ripe tomatoes in your Dei Fratelli products.
When did you guys get involved with Dei Fratelli?
We've just been involved with them recently, but we've actually been growing tomatoes for the last 60 years at this
60
farm.
years.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned sort of a little bit of how long you've been doing this. Tell me a little bit about the family history. I mean, 5 generations out here in Elmore, making more than just tomatoes. Tell me a little bit about Rothard Farms.
So we've been here for 150 years, our family. I'm the 5th generation. Currently, we grow kale, cabbage, the tomatoes, obviously. We do banana peppers, jalapeno peppers, and then corn and soybeans.
What's your favorite one?
The tomatoes, the tomatoes are probably the most challenging out of all the crops, but it's really worth it to see it come full circle. Being able to harvest your product, it being shipped locally right here in Toledo, and then being able to actually buy it. I mean, that's the brand that our family buys, and that's what your friends buy. I mean, they're buying your tomatoes, and I think that's pretty neat to be able to see that.
Can you take me through the process of the factory of when the tomatoes arrive, and then how it goes through? Let's take the Pemberville factory, for example.
When they first arrive, you'll see them they bring the gondolas, which are scheduled with us, so we're trying to get them right after it's harvested. And then we'll use water to float the tomatoes out of the wagons. And that water's gentle, it floats them out. It also does a pre-wash on the tomato, floats them into the flume. From there, it can go in many different directions. But what we're trying to do is we're sorting to get the optimum size, optimum color, and then we're directing the highest quality flow into what we call peelers. So we'll peel the skin off, and that's where you as a consumer will get a diced tomato, flavored dices, whole tomatoes, stewed tomatoes. Those are what we call peeled tomatoes. The rest of the product, we sort out these black spots and some of this other material. Then we take those tomatoes and we make tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, tomato juice, some of these other what we call byproducts. They would be ground up or screened. One of our biggest items is crushed tomato, and why that has become so popular over the years is it's just tomatoes. That's a real popular item for us because people love it. There's nothing else added to it. There's not even salt added, so it's great for the low sodium diets as well.
What's it mean to you to have this company and to be doing it here in Northwest Ohio?
A lot, because we've seen companies come and go, and especially in the food industry. Ohio's loaded with a lot of food processors, and this company got started by saying, let's take a crop, and we work right with the seed and the agriculture and the growers, and being able to take that product or that crop, preserve it, and then feed the masses throughout the rest of the year. It's very special. I consider it an extremely noble profession that we're feeding people. Sure, you have to make money at the end of the day. I think it's critical so we can invest in the people, our own people, and we have 130 families that work for us at our full-time, and it's part of the community, but we've been embedded here so long, and being part of the land and then not only just telling the story, but living the story of the product growing from the fields all the way through a finished package is pretty exciting.
You know, we're glad that you're around here and that you chose, you know, this area to continue your business after you started it. And you've probably had Dei Fratelli, even if you haven't realized it, in restaurants around the area or find it on your store shelves. A wide range of products from Dei Fratelli. Steve, thank you very much. We appreciate it.